Greetings and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast that's moonwalking their way through each of the regions of Gaia. This week is another deep dive into the world of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and don't worry if you're not through the game yet, as the pub will only be chatting about the second region, Junon, starting from the Mines of Mithril until we touch the sunny shores of Costa del Sol. I'm your host David Lloyd, and joining me for this discussion is fellow Final Fantasy VII enthusiast, Casey Gibson.
Fellow game of the century enthusiast, yes.
Game of all time.
Yeah, this we're still early, and yeah, we're not going to get too deep into it. But man, this game is amazing.
Yeah, I was very concerned with the initial, a lot of games, they give you that initial feeling of being great, and then they lose their momentum or they lose their steam or something. The things start to fall off. They don't stick the landing, sort of thing. But not quite finished yet. But I'm getting near the end, 60 hours in, and I can say my opinion of it is only gotten stronger as the game has gone on. But yeah, we're definitely sticking to just the second region. I know it seems to kind of be the consensus of where people are these days in their game progression. So we're keeping it from the point where the snake guns up on the pike to the point where we hop off the boat and get ready to put on our beachwear. We're going to stop right before we're going to. I don't know. There's probably no better cliffhanger of ending the episode is right before the
before Tifa puts on a bikini.
That's right. You'll have to come back for the next episode for that one.
Well, I was say that might be like a 4-parter on its own right there.
Yeah. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about though. The Junon region was. I was blown away by the grasslands, and then the Junon region. It gave me the same great vibes. It was interesting. It was a much different experience when you kind of leave Calm for that first time and you see the grasslands. It's kind of this hey, the world isn't completely screwed. There's some beautiful scenery, and Calm is like this amazing place. Like it's like this picturesque cottagey type village, and then you head into Junon, and then you realize, oh yeah, they're Shinra really did screw up this world.
Yeah. Midgar wasn't the only place they got their fingers all up in.
Yeah.
Like obviously Junon, right? Like there's an upper and lower Junon, similar to like the up above the plates and below the plates in Midgar. So it's interesting to see that like Shinra just likes to elevate off the ground and just literally build. Like it's funny, right? Like I feel like in modern day, like if like a government or something, they want an area, they buy the people out, get them out of there, redo it. Shinra's like, nah, we're just going to go on top of you. Like, you can stay where you are. Don't worry about it. But we're going to just ruin it.
It reminds me of the Mr. Burns where he's like blocking out the sun.
Yeah.
We're just gonna, the rich people are just going to build this thing right over you and you'll never see the sky again.
Yeah. It's funny too. And I guess we'll get more into the Junons, but it's just obviously, right. From the original game, a lot of these towns were just sort of like JPEGs that you run over, and then and you go in different buildings. So a lot of the towns were pretty small. So it's interesting to go to these much more fleshed out and realized cities and towns. It's funny because I knew you went under Junon in the original one, but I was like, man, like I don't even remember it compared to this lower Junon. And then I looked at I Googled it and I was like, oh, that's right. Because it's like a screen, you know what I mean? Like
one screen. Yeah.
Where, like now this under Junon is big. It's got docks, ships and stuff, you know what I mean? So it's, and I felt the same about Calm as well. but I guess Junon just in general is much more burned into my brain from the original one, with it obviously the giant cannon up top and stuff, and the
Yeah,
parade and all the fun things you do there. But yeah, it's oh goodness, like I haven't even gotten to the golden saucer yet, which we're not going to talk about in this episode. Aside from that, I'm really excited to see how they flesh
yeah,
that thing out, because I've been in the dark somehow.
yeah. But before we went from the grasslands to Junon, we had to travel through the mithril mines. As Cloud and party were following the men in robes, and yeah, so they're heading through the mines, and it's more. I would say it's more of a transition area. Like it's not too long. You know, you walking through the mines. There's a mini boss battle with the Turks, which is pretty neat. This is where we're first introduced to Elena, who replaced Reno after he got injured in the Sector 7 plate drop. It's funny, I for a second there, I was like, oh, wow, they created a new Turk for this game. That's weird. And then I actually had to Google it to realize, no, like she's an optional character from the first game. Like I don't remember her at all. But I remember I was laughing when I saw it because originally I thought like, oh, is this going to be like some kind of thing where they had like some Tifa DNA and they cloned her to become a Turk or something because Elena looks like Tifa in a blonde wig.
Yeah, yeah, definitely reminiscent of Tifa.
Yeah,
That would be
and that
interesting.
same fighting style too. She's kind of like the
Yeah, the martial artist kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. So that's why I'm glad I googled it before I came on because I probably would have looked pretty stupid. Like, oh,
Yeah,
brand new Turk.
yeah, brand new character. I've never seen this one before.
Yeah,
And
like, what a
he
Jimmy.
calls him,
He hasn't even played Final Fantasy VII.
and he says he's a Final Fantasy fan.
I know, eh?
Well,
Oh
aren't
man.
you actually currently playing the original Final Fantasy as well?
Yeah, so that's because I'm nuts. I have basically the way I've been playing lately is I kind of have like one big game I play when I have free time, like on the big TV and everything. But I also have like these moments throughout the day, like in the morning before work or waiting to pick up the kids, or like I'll have like a half hour here, a half hour there, where I'll play something on a handheld. And I decided like, oh, okay, I'm done Golden Sun. I need something to replace it. Now I'm playing the original Final Fantasy VII, so I'm about halfway through Midgar in that one, so I'm hoping to catch up so I can kind of see the contrast between like you said. There's so many times where we're like basically like you get these moments in Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy VII, that are just like stretched out and built upon, and like even I guess it won't be in this episode, but the Johnny character, I ran into him in Midgar, and I'm like, man, he's such a one-off NPC. Like
Yeah, like a
they've
nothing character. Yeah,
yeah, and they've just like built this kind of this whole story behind him and stuff, and yeah, it's just, like it's incredible what how they've been able to kind of maintain the spirit of the first game while just like adding hours and hours of content upon the new one.
yeah. It's amazing because I mean, I guess we knew the world would be blown out, right? Obviously, like see, like when we first like the whole idea of the remake, and was like, oh, we finally get to see this world in like beautiful 3D graphics and like how vast it can be. But it is, I mean, and obviously it goes hand in hand to make that world feel alive. You obviously need to flesh out the characters in the world and stuff. But they've done just such an awesome job that it's just even just like Queen Blood characters, you know what I mean? Like I forget her name, but she's sort of like the the badass that goes around, and she's like the
Oh yeah, I know who
Queen's
you're
Blood
talking about.
champ, and like you sort of team up with her a little bit here and there. But it just seems like like they're just doing such a good job of bringing the world to life, and making it not only exciting to go see the next town that you remember from the original and see how they've made it like look really cool and stuff, but like no, now I'm going to get to see all the character and personality in that world as well. And yeah, and I guess for me, sort of comparing the first two zones, right, grasslands and Junon, like I really really like the towns in Junon, like going to the Crow's Nest, Upper and Lower Junon. Like I don't know. It was just I found it really like I was excited to get into that zone, and it didn't really disappoint. You know.
Well, I like when they first. So when you first exit the mines, you kind of get it's kind of the similar moment to Calm where you walk out of the town and you kind of survey the area, and it's like complete stark contrast to the to the grasslands where they walk
Oh
out
yeah.
and like, oh yeah, the world isn't, there's the planet's fighting, and then but then they come out to Junon and it's just like trash land. Like there's shipwrecks in the harbor and there's it's all rock. There's like no grass whatsoever. Uh, Everything is kind of in disarray. And then they get to lower Junon, and it's the first person they meet is the mayor of the town, who has their wanted posters on
Mhm,
her
yeah.
tablet. And she's like, "Man, you guys are worth a lot of money." And I love Barrett's line where he goes, "Well, you know what they say, can't take it with you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, while he's polishing his arm.
Yeah, oh dude, Barrett's so good. I mean, honestly, they're all so good, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's not afraid to let you know what's what.
yeah. And yeah, so they head into town. And then this is where we first meet Yuffie, which is a fun encounter where the party just like doesn't even know how to really deal with her. She's just like kind of bouncing around and like, who's this? Who's this crazy chick?
Who's this psychopath
Yeah,
that keeps like yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I guess there's a fun scene like they had. Well, I guess the first thing that happens is like there's like kids that are like attacked. There's like a fish that's like attacking people in the harbor that you end up taking down, and that kind of
Oh yeah, that's
gets the
right off
town
the
on your side, I guess. Like initially, there's some hesitation to kind of deal with deal with the party, or whatever, and yeah, then there's this great big fish, and they end up that's pretty good boss fight, like on that kind of dock area.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was fun.
Yeah, and then with the dolphin, that's I love that dolphin.
And yeah, they get launched up there.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Well, it's funny, yeah, right? Because that was like it's such an absurd situation. Yeah, the dolphin launches your crowd, cloud, what 100 feet in the air up to a platform, and obviously right
Yeah,
on PlayStation One with little you know 8 polygonal graphics. It's like okay, whatever you launch, but so you're like, but in like real life or a more realistic version, you're like, how are they going to do this? It's going to be so silly.
yeah.
But yet, like, what? It was like a little mini game or something with I
Oh
believe,
yeah, like
the
you
rhythm
had to
game.
ride the dolphin. Like you had to pop balloons to
Oh, that's
speed
right.
up the
Yeah,
dolphin because you
it
had
was
to get to a
almost
certain speed.
yeah, and it almost had like a wave race, uh,
Yeah, yeah, it felt.
like where you had to go in between or around the certain areas or
Yeah,
pylons, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you get launched up there, and yeah, it's silly and outrageous, but it doesn't feel like stupid, within
yeah,
the context of the game, and I think that's a lot. I feel like they've done a really good job of like making the serious parts serious and making like the not so serious parts like really pretty
having
comedic,
fun with them.
yeah,
Yeah,
comedical or wow, can't even say that word right. That's probably
yeah,
not
comical.
comical. Yeah, Durr. It's early, people,
Yeah,
but yeah, it like it's just really nice. I think juxtaposition of like, hey, this is when it's serious. It is trying to tell a story that matters, and then but they're also not afraid to really get goofy with it.
hmm yeah. And there was I enjoyed the quest in this one. There was the you had mentioned like one of the areas in Junon is the crow's nest, and it's kind of this village. I guess basically there's like the people who live in Lower Junon have kind of just been relegated to like, yeah, the Shinra runs up top. We just kind of live down here, and then there's a group of people who rebels, I guess, or just like didn't want to deal with Shinra, or doesn't. I don't know. It's hard to say if they're. I don't think they're actually doing anything other than they're just trying to live on their own outside of the town. So because they built this little village kind of on the outskirts near the cliffs, up in the cliffs near the seaside, and the mayor's son, I guess it is living out there with his wife and soon to be child. And one of the fun quests was the mayor wanted to give him money, and and so she put the money on this dog, and the dog was to lead you to Crow's Nest because it's initially locked. Like the people who are guarding it won't let you in, and that's the way it ends up being unlocked. So you end up running to following this dog, and yeah, I like the music. It gets reused later in the game. I guess I shouldn't spoil the. It's not really a spoil, but the I don't know. It's kind of just like this weird mellow music while you're following the dog. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not. I'm trying to remember the music off my
Yeah.
head, but I'm not. I
It's
do remember it
just
was a
so much
real
different.
long
So,
walk. It was
oh,
like
it is a
run.
real long one.
You definitely
Well,
saw
yeah,
that dog for a hot minute.
yeah. And what's funny is this is where I learned that there's a right way to do quests and a wrong way to do quests. Because so the dog brought me to the area, and I started talking to them, and then I just started doing another quest, and I don't remember the mayor saying this, but apparently you were supposed to walk the dog back to Lower Junon. You're supposed to be the guard for the dog to kind of get there and back, but I had only followed him there, and then I didn't bother going back. And and this is so I'm in my quest log, and I'm noticing like a couple of the quests have the gold sticker, but this one doesn't. It just says complete, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Why don't I have a gold one? What did I do wrong? And the next time I ended up back at Lower Junon, the mayor chewed me out for for not
He's like,
following
you
the dog.
monster.
Yeah, he's like, you're supposed to escort him back. What's your problem? And Barrett was like, I don't think he needed protection. He was good.
It's funny because I don't think I ran him back. I'm gonna have to check my quest log because I've definitely other quests. Right, I think that's in the third zone. I, without spoils, you can get a minimum of 4 of these items for like a 1 star, 6 of them for 2 stars, so you can find all 8 for 3 stars. Now I don't know how that affects the outcome of the quest because I went and got all 8 pieces. I've been trying to just get all 3 stars if I can, but I wonder if that doesn't give you 100% towards the check off for each zone, or if it's maybe just the rewards aren't as good. I
Yeah,
haven't
I think you
really.
might just get a different cutscene because so there was that one that I pooched, but I also messed up the quest. I can't remember. There was like the bird. I can't remember what kind of bird it was, but there was the bird that lives in the area, and one of the quests is you're supposed to get food for the bird for the guy in the wheelchair in Crow's Nest, and so there was this area was like there was this cow that you're supposed to get like kill and get meat from, but a dragon comes and picks up the cow and takes him away. So I'm like chasing the dragon,
Come
and
back.
yeah, that's my food. So anyway, I get to the end and you fight the dragon, and then I guess like again I didn't really notice at the time. So the dragon dies, and the dragon's like beside the cow, and apparently you were
Oh, you get to
supposed to
pick,
choose
right?
between the two, and I didn't know there was a choice. I just hit the X button because I thought I was like progressing the story, but apparently I had chosen the dragon meat.
Oh, good thing I picked the cow.
Yeah. So I went back. I don't know if it would have changed anything, but like I went and put the meat there, and this bird or whatever it is came and picked up the meat and ate it, and everyone was like enamored that the bird came or whatever. So I don't know if there would have been anything different, but again, I didn't get the gold star because I had picked,
Loser.
yeah, picked the wrong meat. If I did, but I wish I had known at the time. I wasn't really paying attention to the gold stuff when I was playing, but now ever since then I've been on alert. I'm like, no,
Like, now I got to go
I
back and redo some things.
yeah, if I pooch this, I gotta save right before I start this quest.
It is interesting. Like I said, I really I wonder. We should probably look it up at some point. But yeah, like if it is just a matter of some different dialogue or because I know when you do some of like the mini games, right? Like if you get a certain score, they give you one item or a little reward, and then they usually have 2 or 3 tiers, and to get the bigger, better item, usually like
Mm-hmm.
an equipment slot, belt or something. So I wonder if that has something to do with it, but yeah, it's oh god, it's so funny because, like, I mean, anyone who's heard me talk about JRPGs in the past know that I'm not a side quest guy, and I just can't help but do every single side quest in this game.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did because, like, even like the frog one, right? When you go down, I believe it's Lower Junon.
Yep.
I went to this area actually first, and like a bunch of little kids were like, "Hey, beat it! This is
Yeah.
this
No,
is
no
for
adults allowed.
yeah, exactly, yeah, kids only."
Yeah.
So like, okay, and then later on, I don't know exactly what I did to progress it, or I just kept doing the quests and things in the zone, and eventually, yeah, I got to the point where I had to go down there. Yeah, and then you turn into a frog,
Yeah.
and it's like then it's. I mean, and like you've turned into a frog sometimes as a debuff when you're fighting, enemies, which honestly I hate. Like
Yeah.
that's there's nothing worse than when you get turned into a frog and all you can do is like a little bubble blast or whatever, and you're like,
Yeah. Or
this
the
sucks.
or the jump attack or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
leapfrog. Yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
leapfrog.
So it's like, oh, but yeah, you turn into a frog and like, Tifa's got like her clothes on as a frog still, like it
Yeah.
just so funny.
I got wrecked in the first time I did that because I like just went and attacked all the monsters at once, and they because I had like got aggroed all of them, like I got attacked
Oh,
and
they
just
just
died.
smith you.
Yeah, so that I had to restart it. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just stick to one at a time because clearly I can't do my normal all attack everything mode. So I got through it the second time, but yeah, that was a pretty hilarious. Everything about that was hilarious, and even like when they at the end of the quest, they're like chatting about it and everything, and then Tifa shoves Cloud back into the
Yep.
back.
And then after that too, it actually sort of reminded me of Final Fantasy 14 style minigame where you're still the frog and then they have like the the bars. I guess it's sort of in the middle. It's like you know, it's sort of like a clock almost. Clock hands go rotating, one going counterclockwise, one going clockwise, and you got to jump and avoid it without
Oh
getting
yeah,
knocked
yeah,
off.
I forgot about that.
Yep. And then like the different platforms fall over time, and it's pretty. Honestly, I didn't have too much trouble with it, but it was fun. And like I said, it definitely gave me Final Fantasy 14 vibes.
Yeah,
But yeah, just another funny little weird mini game thrown in there.
it was funny getting like launched off that, but when the hands actually hit you and the frog is like
Oh
going
yeah,
like way across the screen.
yeah. It's not
Like,
like it just pushes you off. It's like
no,
yeah, it's
it like
like
launches you off that thing.
it reminds me of like Smash Brothers. Like oh, you have like 150%,
Yeah,
and it's like pew, see you later.
yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. What else do we got? There's so much in this region. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, and then I guess we actually for patrons we did an episode on Queen's Blood, which I believe is already out, right, for
Yep.
Abentime.
Yep.
So we went into detail about Queen's Blood, and actually, in this region is really the first place that it enlightens you to that the story behind Queen's Blood, very vaguely, of course,
Yeah.
but yeah, you get a quest by just I believe I got it by just doing Queen's Blood in the previous area, and then eventually it's like, hey, you should definitely go check out this guy,
Cameron.
yeah, Cameron in the Crow's Nest, and give him a challenge, And then when you go out there, you fight him, and it's funny because I guess I thought he was going to be good, and that was one of probably my strongest games
Yeah, me too.
right off the bat. Like I've had a couple. I've definitely lost before, or I'm like, oh, I'm not in a good position to win. Let me just reset this real quick. But this one I did really good and I beat him like 20 something to 0. And then all of a sudden, yeah, you have some sort of like flashback or vision. And it's pretty vague, to be honest with you. But like, it's like, oh, why do they call it Queen's Blood, right? Like essentially, like there's some sort of weird thing behind the game, and how it came to be. And I obviously, or I should say, obviously, I'm assuming as we continue to push forward, it's going to reveal more. But it does just enough to it leaves it vague, but makes it interesting where you're like, huh.
Yeah, it's
You know,
not
like
just a card game.
yeah,
Clearly,
there's
yeah,
more to it. It's not just a complete side, like, oh, we're just going and having fun, which we are, but there is more to it. So, but like, really, it doesn't tell you anything.
yeah, no,
So it definitely gets you that, like, ooh, I can't wait to go to new regions, and I'm sure there's going to be other people I play where I get this sort of, you know, look back at maybe the origins of how the game to be. So that was really cool, I thought, because it was definitely not something I was expecting.
yeah. Like Queen's Blood has always been fun, and I've always like whenever I enter a new region, that's one of the first things I'm looking for is okay, where are the Queen's Blood players at? But having that little bit of motivation to see what happens, like okay, what's going on with this story, like what's behind these cards, just gives it that little extra incentive to hope for that like the quest character or whatever, like ranking up enough where you take on I don't know if boss, I guess a Queen's Blood boss or to
Ooh,
get that story.
that would be cool if, like, at the end there's some sort of, yeah, you battle in the game and you win, but then you got to battle afterwards in person because,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I could definitely see them ramping it up and having some fun with it. But yeah, I think that just goes to just there's so much attention to detail and there's just so much to do in this game, but like they do just such a great job of not making it well, not making it feel tedious or boring to do it, but
Yeah.
also like it like the opposite, it incentivizes you. Like, really, right? You could just mainline the game, go quest to quest, or main quest to main quest. I'm sure there's probably some side things that maybe are required to do, or like, oh, I could do this while doing the main quest. But it just, for me, it's just how you get to a zone. They've got a few markers on there, right? You usually get to, like, oh, okay, I'm in the new city here or town. Maybe one of the quest board, community board quests is unlocked to do. Maybe a few little things here. Oh, look, there's a tower over there to explore. And it's just so nice. It like slowly, it like drip feeds you this content. So it's not like you look at your map and it's just like, oh my God, like, where do I go? There's so much to do. It's like, no, there's like 3 points of interest when you get to a new zone. Like I said, then you check out the tower. It opens up a few more points of interest, and it just feels really organic to, like, just introduce it to you without making it overwhelming. Obviously, like I said, you don't have to do a lot of this stuff, but it just feels really good. And as a guy who isn't usually all about that, it is feels good to want to do it.
Hmm.
And obviously, Final Fantasy VII is such an important game, and in my life, both of ours, but a
Yep.
lot of people's lives in general. So any way to spend more time in the world and seeing it like fully fleshed out is just like an incredible feeling for me.
Yeah. Well, on that note too, it's the same with the proto relics. Like there's when you usually there's I don't know if there's a like a set amount of proto relic or like quests or whatever in each region, but there's usually like three or four or something. And then when you actually get the proto relic, you get this drip feed of like this backstory of what's going on. Um, I've seen so many at this point, I can't remember the Junon one. If I'm pretty sure that
Fort Condor.
yeah, but when Cloud actually like grabs the proto relic, do you get a cutscene in Junon?
I'm trying to, because I remember Barrett, I believe, is the one who grabs it from the enemy. I'm trying to think.
Okay, so here's a slight spoiler if you want to skip for the next 10 seconds. But when you grab a proto relic, Cloud is like put in this other dimension where he sees this character, and there's like a little bit of dialogue, and then it cuts back. That didn't happen in Junon yet, I guess.
Trying to think. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to, like, actually, because I remember Barrett, like, his little tiny character grabbed it, like,
Yeah.
in the game.
Well, it was definitely when they're back in the like the
Yeah,
real world, because there's a yeah, I guess a slight spoiler. Well, it's not even a spoiler. It's just here's a heads up of when you start getting proto relics, you're gonna start getting like another back like a very it was very similar to Queen's Blood, where it's like you get like this vague hint of like something's going on, but in each region, as you get the proto relic, like you get this new one, and they just get better as in each subsequent region. Like you get a little bit more, and they're even funnier.
Mm.
So yeah, let's just kind of going back to like you said, with like you get this drip feed of things in each of the quests, where it just gives you this incentive to do it. Like on top of the fact that it's just fun to do to begin with, because
Did you like the Fort Condor game?
it was all right. Like it, having done other, I've grown to appreciate it based on some other mini games. I'm like, oh man, I wish I was doing Fort Condor, not this. But it was fun enough. Like it was, it's one of those things. Fort, like that game can be difficult. I found like there's a couple that were a little bit harder. I didn't have to redo too many. Like I think the final one I might have had to redo once. I feel like the third one was the hardest one.
For me, I think like I did the first one pretty much no problem. I think I did the second one with like a little bit like yeah, maybe a restart, but like it wasn't too hard. And then the third one, yeah, I was having trouble and then I think I went to just sort of see like is there a strategy I'm missing here?
Yeah,
And they were like change it to this, team unit. Essentially, right, you've got Cloud Tifa Barrett who can be the three two of the three captains. You have two on the field or the ability to call two on the field. And then you've got like there's a number of different army types that you could switch between and they have different units. I didn't realize that you could switch the units. Like I was switching up, Tifa, Cloud, and Barrett. And they're like, try this one. And then all of a sudden you get like the catapults.
yeah.
And like that was a game changer because it was like, all right, I'm gonna push up a little bit, drop this catapult that can help take out like the two side
The towers or
turrets,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
or towers. And then the third and fourth one weren't nearly as difficult once I had sort of that toolkit better laid out. But yeah, I thought it was actually pretty fun. I really liked I love just how it looks, right? Because it obviously it sort of harkens back to like the original Final Fantasy VII, like very boxy looking characters.
yeah.
I thought that was sort of cool as like a little like, hey, this is
Yeah.
what it's the characters like. If
I
Final
love that they
Fantasy VII
acknowledge
was
it too.
released, yeah.
What is going on here? Why do we look like this?
But yeah, I had fun with it. I haven't tried to like after do the proto relic quest and you beat the 4 and you get it, then it unlocks 4 more difficult versions of it, and I was not
No,
inclined
I
to
did
do
not
that
I did
at
not
the
attempt
time.
that either. There's something similar in a later region, and I sure as hell I'm not going anywhere near that.
Yeah, I thought like maybe there'd be a time, you know, 20 hours down the road in the game where I'm like, yeah, you know what, maybe I will go back and mess around with that or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that feels much more like if I was going for a platinum or something. Like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe let me do this. But I have a feeling I'll probably just gonna keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
But I did. That being said, I did really have fun while I was playing it for sure.
Yeah. I like how they've included it in the game. Like it's good to go back to it, but I also like that it's like no, they've switched to this Queen's Blood. That's the kind of the ongoing game that travels throughout the region. So I'm happy they went with that. But glad
Yeah,
I got that little taste of it again.
definitely.
Head on up to the upper Junon, and we had talked about earlier, it's you have this funny scene where they so the team can't get up there because the elevator is being guarded by Shinra, so they realize they have to take this ship. There's like this crane that has a ship, and so they have to get to this area where they could drop the boat down to the water, and then the party can get on the boat, and then they'll pull it up to Upper Junon. But yeah, you go through this kind of wave race esque mini game where Cloud rides the dolphin to build up speed, and then the dolphin like fires him up onto the crane, and then uses that to bring everybody up. And then once you get up there, again, like the amount of detail in like areas where you're really not in that area for too long. Like Upper Junon, I don't think it was much longer than like an hour or two, but the town up there
Oh,
was
incredible.
insane. I'm like walking through and I'm like, why is there so much area to explore? There's too many stores. Like this is insane. And then I thought they did a great job of incentivizing again the exploration by. So when you first get up there, they decide to put on the soldiers' outfits to blend in,
Mm.
and then Cloud gets chosen as captain for the parade, and they tell him, okay, you got to go find like the rest of the platoon or whatever. So one of the mini games is that you have to actually, walk around Upper Junon and find where all these Shinra soldiers are to tell them, the parade is about to start. You have to kind of get in line, and I think there's like 8 squads that
Hmm.
you only need 4, but to kind of
You get
to
three star.
yeah, to get the 3-star, you have to get all 8. So yeah, there was no way I wasn't getting the 3 stars. So I like walking around trying to find all the squad members, and I'm just in awe of all like there's like, and
The
some of the
bars
buildings have like
bigger.
multiple floors and stuff. And I'm like, why? Like, man, they put so much effort into this area, and and I think my favorite place to find a squad. I don't remember what the bar was called, but it was for bald people only.
Oh, my bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hold on, I know I'm looking it up. What was it? Was like Glaber something or another. Bald bar and Final. But yes, because then they have like a really funny like they all sort of like brush their heads like their bald head like a
yeah,
squeak. You know what I mean? Like they
yeah.
all in unison.
Rude's down, or not Rude. Yeah, Rude.
Yeah,
Rude. He's
yeah.
the bald guy. Yeah, the Turk. He's down there, and he's like,
Yeah, he's like, "What do you mean? Like, oh, what your kind's not down?" Like, it was like, "Oh shoot, they know we're not one of them or something."
"Take off your helmets."
Yeah. Let's see it. What do you got hair under there? Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's oh okay. Because especially when you see Rude, right, being a
yeah,
Turk, you're thinking, "Oh crap!" Like I just walked in on something. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
bigger than, and then like, oh no, it's actually just like the silliest thing ever.
They have like a song and everything. I love how Cloud. It's almost like Cloud has walked in on like this culty. Like he's like, what is going on in here?
It's just yeah, and it's funny because there's another bar right that like is like a sort of high end, like almost piano bar. Like you go upstairs and over there, and yeah, the bald bar is like down and like you go down into like the alley that's sort of hidden away.
Yeah,
And it's funny because obviously, right, you're in Junon is Shinra territory. They're having a big event, right? Like they got the parade and all this stuff. So there's Shinra soldiers everywhere. But yeah, you need to find the ones the Midgar unit has like a red band on their shoulder.
hmm,
So or their arm, I should say. So it is cool like to go around and it's like, "Oh, there's some more. Oh, wait, no, that's not actually my unit." And then just going around. And it's funny because I found 7 of the 8. I was like, "Where the heck is this last unit?" And then I found like a whole other building I didn't even
I
like
know.
notice, and there was like a couple floors in there too, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this is crazy.
yeah. No, it's insane. And then that. When you find all the squad members and you go to the parade, you actually have to choose the right combination of soldiers in order to like you have to. There's like 2 different ceremonies that you do, and you have to make sure that both of them are 3-star difficulty in order to win the parade, I guess. They're having like a competition with other members of the Shinra army. The other team that you're fighting against is the mobile unit led by Roche, who's we'll talk about him in a
Oh
second because
yeah,
he's
that
he's
dirty dog.
incredible. Yeah. And so yeah, so you do this like it's I guess like a rhythm game where
It's like theater rhythm
oh yeah
a little
yeah
bit.
where yeah like you have to hit the right button combinations to the music, and then you get like the visual cues or whatever. I
But
thought it
it's
was pretty
also very
clever.
cinematic, right? Like it's
Oh
not like
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's not like you're just pressing buttons along like a Guitar Hero esque line. It is
yeah.
like the camera is swooshing around and the guns are flipping, and it's very visually nice.
Yeah, well, I like how like the button presses are kind of intermixed in the scenery. Like they're coming out of like they'll come from weird angles, and so it's not this easy. Like okay, I have to hit the button now or whatever. Like there is like a little circle, but the perspective of the circle is always changing, and where the button indicators are coming from always changes, and they'll be like going up and down and all around and stuff. So it gives like it makes it more interesting in the
Probably more
sense where
challenging
it's
too. I
oh yeah, yeah. And then yeah, we get the so when I don't know if it affects like I ended up getting the winning the commendation, so the party went up to see the president.
Is that so? They give away at least in mine when I did it. They gave away like two awards. Like the first one, I didn't
Yeah.
win. Roach
Oh,
won
you
that
didn't?
one. I didn't.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then the second one was the accommodation one or something. So
Yeah.
I guess I was a big loser boy. So I lost. Yeah, I guess I didn't win the first one, but I won the second one. So you still got to meet with the president.
Okay. Yeah, I ended up winning both, but the first one, the squad commander, like the woman that had selected Cloud, she went up to get that award.
Hmm. Oh, well, I get
Yeah, like
I
she
picked him.
collected it
Yeah,
on behalf of the squad.
I made that unit.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if it affects anything other than that, but uh I know that Roche does like chirp me in the when so later in the game you're heading back through, so there's this cutscene with Yuffie, and you get to play as Yuffie very briefly, where so the party goes and goes to accept the award from Shinra, and from
Mhm.
Rufus, the president there, and so they're having this conversation where Rufus tells Cloud that they're going to leave him alone, but they want him to go kill Sephiroth, and Yuffie
And
interrupts.
Cloud's even surprised though. He's like,
Yeah,
"Wait." He's like, "For real? Like you know what I mean? Like you're just going to like be cool with that?" And it
yeah,
was like, "Yep, you go kill them." Cuz we learn earlier in the chapter right that the Turks' main focus isn't to find them anymore, right? And it's
yeah.
like don't even worry about Cloud and the gang. Just go find or just
The
follow the
robed
robed
man.
men.
Yeah,
And then so this sort of and right at the time you're like, is that actually true? Like, am I getting debated here? Like they're gonna just end up actually, But then yeah, he sort of reiterates like, yo, like I don't actually care about you guys. Like
yeah.
I'm just like, this is what I'm after.
Get rid of Sephiroth.
Yeah, go do it. And yeah, Cloud's like, all right, like yeah, let's do that. Yeah, and then all of a sudden Yuffie throws a little wrench in the or a ninja star in the plan,
That's
if
right.
you will.
Yeah, yeah, and saves. Heidegger ends up pushing the president out of the way, takes the hit, and then it doesn't seem like there's any consequences to it because they're like, oh, I think the Shinra people were like, oh, it was all a ruse on your part, eh?
Yeah, like
And
screw you.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
deal's
they
off.
yeah, so Cloud decides to end up. So they want to get to the boat to get to Costa del Sol because they know that's where the road
Woo-wee.
men are going. Yeah, but that whole sequence of Cloud running through, so the members of the squad end up joining Cloud in this weird like like the five party members are kind of off going through the place on their own, and Cloud's supposed to be like a distraction, I guess. And some Shinra soldiers from Midgar end up, finding him. And I'm like, Captain, what do we do?
Oh
And
yeah.
Cloud's like, oh, I guess we're fighting.
Yeah, we need to find these traitors.
Yeah, the traders are wearing Shinra clothes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're like, we're just gonna not trust anyone, and then we
yeah,
just go wrecking everybody.
yeah. And I don't know. Again, I don't know the consequences of, but though you're supposed to keep your squad mates alive through all these fights or whatever. Yeah, so yeah, I ended up keeping them alive, but
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it all ends with a fight with Roche. it's like the weirdest thing, and even Cloud is like, "Where the hell am I?"
Yeah, what is yeah, it's like a fight club, like a
Yeah,
gladiator or a coliseum. It's so weird.
yeah. And Roche is like put on that he's got the Shinra soldiers. It's like Mad Max sort of thing where they're like all cheered up on in the stands or whatever. And
He's like riding his motorcycle around the walls and stuff. Like,
yeah, that was an amazing. It was probably the easiest boss fight in the game, but it was still amazing.
yeah, visually super cool.
Yeah,
And I think that was leave your troops before you fight him, right?
yeah. They kind of just take a step back
Because
and join the crowd.
yeah, because they're like, I feel like they like sort of pin it together. They were like, oh, like maybe you're the like, were we the bad guys? You know, like, but like also not like attacking Cloud or anything. It is like, all
Yeah,
right, see ya.
yeah. Well, yeah. But I guess Roche like he doesn't break his cover or anything. Like he just kind of makes it like, oh, it's you represent the Midgar and we're the mobile and we're defending our honor sort of thing. It's like you and me. And yeah, so they have this big fight and Cloud wins, and then Roche has the opportunity to out him, but he's like, no, like go. And Cloud's like, really? And he's like, yep, just we'll meet again. Don't you worry.
Yeah, it's funny how like there's so many opportunities for Cloud and the gang to just get turned in, but for whatever reason, they keep on pushing forward. Luckily,
Yeah. And then they leave there, and I love the scene between the Shinra soldiers and Cloud at the end where the soldiers were like, oh, we were just kind of dead weight to you, sir. And he's like, no, like Midgar forever or whatever, like this. Or
yeah,
it's
my
funny you spend
boys.
all this time like fighting Shinra soldiers and killing them on the streets and stuff, and then they have like this heartfelt moment together of like
Maybe they're not
camaraderie.
all bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're my boy, Blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty funny scene. But I guess we'll finish up this episode with a fun little I get I they almost feel like intermissions between the regions. So it's the boat to Costa del Sol.
Baby.
Oh man, was this fun? So it's like this fun little yeah, interlude, I guess you'd call it, where the party ends up on the boat, and the captain's like, "Who you guys?" And we're like, "Well, we won the accommodation. They told us we got a free trip to Costa del Sol." And the captain's like, "Okay, good."
Yeah, he's like, I don't see you on the itinerary, but sure.
Yeah.
And this,
Nope.
I believe, the Shinra 8, right? I believe the boat's called.
Yeah.
It's almost looks like a mix of like a cruise boat, but also like a ferry.
Yeah.
Like so it's cool though.
Yeah. And so they're on the boat and they're kind of walking around, and then the captain announces there's a Queen's Blood tournament, and my jaw dropped because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
And that's why the boat to Costa del Sol was my favorite part of the game.
Oh man, I just that was such a fun sequence. So I think it ends up being 5 Queen's Blood matches. I think by the time you get to the end,
Yeah, you fight like a nobody, then I believe you fight
the
Barrett.
robot.
Oh,
I fought the robot second. I think
I get
you get to. Well, it's funny. You actually get to choose, because there's one round where there's like a nobody. Maybe the robot was the first one. I can't remember. But there's like a Queen's Blood robot I ended up playing. There was, yeah, I think Barrett. It was like between. I think Barrett was one of the options, but then there's another one's like between Tifa and Aerith.
Oh, see, I guess I just didn't realize necessarily that there was or I just ran into the first person I could play and I played them because I know I played Barrett. I did not play Tifa, probably just because I couldn't beat her.
Yeah,
I couldn't eliminate her.
yeah.
I believe I played Aerith, and then yeah, maybe there's a couple randos. Then you play that girl I had mentioned before. I forget her name.
Was it like Melanie or something? I can't
Something
remember.
like that.
Something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
she's sort of like hey, I'm the
the Queen's
best.
Blood champ. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm the best. And you beat her. But it's funny, right? When you register for the tournament early, Red's like, I'll play. And they're like, sorry, like no dogs,
yeah.
So
And he was pissed.
yeah, he was
Yeah,
upset, right? So then you beat the final chick
yeah.
and you're the champion. And and then
The greatest scene ever.
maybe the best part of the game. And yeah, I guess like if you really don't want any spoilers, like because this is a really funny moment, skip ahead a minute or two. But yeah, then we are treated to the most beautiful cutscene of all time. As someone walks in, and then sure enough, it's Red dressed in human clothes on 2 feet.
The Shinra uniform, the
Yep,
Shinra soldier uniform,
he's
just
got the
like the original
uniform
game.
on, and then
Yeah.
he does the moonwalk
Yes.
over to the table, and it's like, what is going on? And then he is really hard.
Yes.
He's really good at the game. It took me a while to beat him because I guess his deck just has a lot of cards with abilities.
Yeah.
Because like he was just ramping up, like multiplying his scores a bunch, and I was like, oh man, I was like, red is actually tough. And I believe like you don't need to beat him because like when I did a reset, there was like a forfeit and don't try again option essentially. But I did beat him, so. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was probably the biggest surprise I've seen in this game that like actually made me like LOL, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like when we got on the boat, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, they're okay, so they're not doing the Red 13 in the soldier uniform thing, because I remember that from from the original game being hilarious, and I'm like, oh, it's too bad. I wish I would have liked to have seen that. And then I was even in the Discord where I said something to that effect, like, oh, it's too bad we didn't get Red in the soldier uniform. And then I know one of the people that was ahead of me was like laughing and to that comment, and
Will.
then yeah, when I got there, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, just perfection. I think, like I said, it sort of just reiterates what we were saying before. How it's like the serious moments are serious, but I'm just really happy they didn't take like the silliness of the first game and like get rid of it because of like, oh no, we're going for a serious game here. You know, I love that it is such a silly, wacky game, and it's not afraid to really lean into that at different points. And obviously, like I said, I'm in the third area now, so I've still got a long ways to go. So I'm
Yeah.
sure there's going to be some more outrageous things. But I guess really, we should have known when the Hell House in the first part was like they made just
Yeah,
an
included.
epic boss. And
Yeah.
like was actually the coolest thing ever. That like
Yeah.
they're gonna find ways to take the silliness and either ramp it up or just keep it in the game and make it work.
Yeah, definitely leaning into those moments. So I guess we'll finish up our discussion of the second region with the final. So I wasn't expecting a boss battle on this boat.
No,
So there's a bunch of roadmen on the boat, and then feeds end up boarding, I guess, or like flying onto the boat and then merging with the roadmen to create these like mega monsters.
it's like Resident Evil, dude.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, the whole scene. And then it ends with kind of like, I guess, kind of like a mini Sephiroth to a certain extent. Like there's this weird like monstery thing or whatever, and you end up fighting that, but it's like Sephiroth is like talking through the monster to Cloud, and this is kind of where we're starting to see Sephiroth's plan in motion, where he's clearly knows something about Cloud and Tifa, and he's trying his best to keep them apart.
Mm,
And he mentions, so he's trying to
I
like
know
put this.
why.
Yeah.
Sephiroth wants Tifa for himself.
Oh, that's probably like 100% the reason. But he's kind of planting this bug in Cloud's mind that Tifa's not real, that it's Genova in disguise, because like he's what it, trying to build the memory of like how they found out like Genova can mimic people or whatever, like the so he's trying to insinuate that Tifa's not real, that it's Genova in disguise.
Oh God, this better not lead to anything tragic down the line, or I'll be very upset.
Um,
We'll see. We'll see.
Save that for another episode.
Yeah. Well, I guess right. We could sort of mention we were thinking as we plug through this game, and time wise is going to be more on me than it is David, but that we're going to do an episode for each zone
Yep.
and sort of break it down like this, and then obviously I mean I think it's interesting listening and people playing the game can sort of listen along, but it'll be cool to have all of our thoughts on each zone for the game in perpetuity in like a whole collection, right? And at the end of the game, I'm sure we'll have a big spoilery-esque chat about everything, but it'll be nice to along the way sort of have that too. So anyone listening out there, you can sort of expect more of these episodes where we're sort of, talking about the different things that happen in the zones, and also our experience with them too. So I
But
think that should be pretty fun.
we're going to take a break on the Final Fantasy for at least a week anyway. We'll probably have we're getting into kind of the summer reveals, so we'll probably go with maybe a little predictions episode next week and kind of see where people are at. Give everyone at home a chance to catch up if you're not quite through the third region yet or beyond. So yeah, we'll take move on to some other games, even though I'm really only playing Final Fantasy related stuff right now.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, don't. I mean, I guess if you're not really into Final Fantasy, you're probably not listening at this
Yeah.
point of the podcast. But yeah, it won't just be Final Fantasy on the feeds.
Yeah.
Especially, well, although who knows, we did get a date for Final Fantasy 14 expansion.
Yeah.
Although that's not till July, so we got some time for that.
Yeah. I'll have to find 150 hours between now and then to catch up to that expansion.
Dude, isn't it crazy? I was thinking about it, right? So we got 16 last year. We got 7 here. We got 14 expansion coming out. We got 16 expansion DLC coming out.
Yeah.
There's
the 14 wasn't Endwalker last year too?
I
Or
believe
was that the year before?
I believe it's every 2 years usually.
Okay.
Although I think Endwalker came out it was like the end of the year. Yeah, I'm looking at December 2021. So actually a little bit longer than 2 years.
Oh,
right?
man.
2.5, yeah.
Doesn't feel that long ago, but I guess
Actually, yeah, 22, 23. No.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Released on December 7th, 2021.
Really? Oh, man.
So what? It's been 2 years.
2 and a bit.
2 and
a half.
2.5. I guess usually, I know with like World of Warcraft, it's usually every 2-ish years. And I think Final Fantasy was around that also. But
Okay.
I guess for whatever reason. But yeah. Yeah, so it's just crazy because they're probably working on some sort of DLC for 7 remake. And then it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of really high quality Final Fantasy stuff coming out right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The last couple years.
Yeah. But if you're still looking for a little bit more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth talk, we do have a Patreon episode that's posted now. If you're not in the Patreon, or if you're not in the Patreon, sorry.
I always mess that up. Yep.
Yeah. It's exclusively on Queen's Blood. So we have a patron only episode on Queen's Blood. If you want to join up, you can go to patreon.com/thethirstymage, or you can head to thethirstymage.com and just click on the Patreon link. For a couple bucks a month, you can help support the podcast, help cover the costs of running this wonderful podcast RPG. And there's some old Abed episodes on there, Abed time episodes on there now, but we just posted a brand new one on Queen's Blood that's there, and then we'll be doing at least once a month going forward. So we actually have the April one booked. I have to pick up the game for that one. But we'll be doing those some more, so you'll have access to that. Plus you'll get the episodes a week early as well. There's those benefits, and maybe some more along the way. So yeah, you can head over there when you can. But I guess for now we'll put a little bit of break into the Final Fantasy stuff until next week, or for a couple more weeks.
We'll put a break on talking about Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's right.
So we can go play some Final Fantasy.
That's right. Yeah. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you out at the next episode.
Adios.
Bye.
Don't forget your Queen's Blood decks.
That's right.